Welcome back once again to your number one source for information, education, and inspiration on the most underrated career opportunity and industry in business. Today, you should get a license. The podcast we talk about insurance careers and financial careers in insurance and financial services. Let me make sure I'm getting that right. My name is Rod Powell. I'm your host, and today we have really, I would say, the most swagalicious insurance professional in the entire industry today. Someone who, when they walk into the room, you already know that that is somebody who you need to know, who you need to pay attention to. Let me just read her bio to you real quick. Give you a little background, a little insight on the conversation that we're about to have. Diandra Nims is a detail-oriented and ambitious senior underwriter pricing E&O risk for video and film. She has exceptional communication and presentation skills, matched with excellent analytical and problem-solving skills. That means she's right brain and left brain. Let's make sure you get that together. As a creator of Limitless Visions, being a self-taught videographer, cinematographer, content creator, and mental health advocate, Diandra specializes in amplifying underrepresented and underserved voices through a variety of media, combining her passion for creativity and public speaking with her passion for diversity, equity, and inclusion. She has served in a leadership role with QBE North America's Multicultural Inclusive Extension, i.e. Mix Employee Network. And through her leadership as co-lead, the Mix Employee Network was named Best Use of Employee Resource Groups to Address Diversity, Equity, Inclusion by the Brandon Hall Group in 2022. Diandra is an active member of the National African American Insurance Association, the New York Tri-State Chapter, has served as community engagement lead from 2023 through 2024, and is currently participating in the Professional Liability Underwriter Society's LAMP 2024 cohort, a mentorship program that seeks to develop creativity, motivate leaders, and fuel organizational success and effectiveness of the wider professional liability industry. Through all this, Diandra recognizes the privilege and power that comes with a rising platform and plans to yield this into more opportunities for Black and queer creatives to be represented and seen. As creative director of Limitless Visions, LLC, Diandra is passionate about storytelling and connecting with others. I give you Miss Diandra Marie Nims.
Hey.
Welcome.
Now I'm gonna let you could maybe call me Diandra, but for the girlies out there, Diandra, please.
Diandra.
On the A. No, you are all good. Again, expanding platform.
Okay,
I don't want to have to correct all of y'all individually. So this is me.
Hey, listen.
Doing it at once.
I'm gonna say Diandra because my name is. So here's the story of Rod Powell. Why I go by Rod Powell, because my name is Gerard. That is my name.
Got it.
But people continuously insist on calling me Jared for some reason.
But it's not spelled that way.
It is not spelled that way.
Yeah,
it's not even close to being spelled that way.
Right.
So over time, I say, you know what? Just call me Rod. Let's just
do it. And I'm not trying. It would be for me if y'all just called me D. I feel like that's a scapegoat. I want y'all to try.
No, put some respect on it.
I'm doing my best. If you don't respect me, hopefully by the end of this episode, you'll be like, "Oh, okay. Let me add some respect on there."
Listen, like I was saying before we even started, you command respect as soon as you walk into a space. I go back to, my first time seeing you and meeting you in Baltimore a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And as soon as you walk by, I'm like, yo, who is that?
Actually, you know what? I remember that. I remember that. I had on a houndstooth navy blue and white suit with navy blue and white sneakers. I think I had on like a Ralph Lauren button down with a navy blue tie to go with it. The reason I remember that because that was my first time ever wearing that outfit, and I was very excited about it. So I appreciate it. I remember you pulling me to the side and be like, I like this right here. I like it. I don't know who you are. My name is Rod. Keep doing what you're doing.
I just need to let you know.
Right.
Let's talk about something real quick because this platform is for people who may or may not have been exposed to this industry, maybe working in the industry in a different in various different capacities, but also maybe exploring getting into this space. And even though it's called You Should Get a License, you're not actually a licensed, insurance licensed individual, but you're an underwriter. You
Yes.
are the person that is determining if we, as licensed individuals, actually can write that business, can get that business through. So you're making the decisions on the back end. I would love for you to just give a quick snapshot of what you do in your role. Like, what does that mean to be an underwriter, specifically in the space of media, video, film, the types of risk that you're looking at?
Oh, that's a great question. Media liability is a very essential piece of insurance. I don't think a lot of us realize that. So anything that you consume can have insurance, whether it's like a big streamer like Netflix, Paramount, Apple Plus. It could be an independent film. You could be a production company, and you need insurance because as much of us may not realize how important insurance is in media, we do love when we hear the stories of like, oh, this production stole my life, or this person stole my idea, and now it's made, this production has made millions of dollars. I deserve a piece of that. And that's where the insurance kicks in. A lot of if I am a distribution company and you, Rod, produce a film and I'm saying, hey, I want to stream it and I'm giving you, we have a distribution deal. But if someone comes suing, I don't want to pay your claims. So the insurance is there to help safeguard, really and provide not provide, but to ensure our clients' First Amendment rights. Because creativity, art is a through line in our life, in our society. It helps it progress, it helps it grow, it documents what's happening in the moment. And so we are making sure for our clients and our insureds that we're providing the coverage that they need just in case someone does try to get any money from them, or say that an idea was stolen or you're infringing, because that can also damage someone's reputation. But we also want to make sure the productions themselves aren't damaging someone else's reputation falsely, and bringing forth claims like defamation, misappropriation of likeness, invasion of privacy. You want to make sure there aren't any trademark or copyright claims to what I'm saying before. AI has been new in our space, so we're not necessarily insuring AI itself, but we do try to understand better whether our clients are using AI in any sort of way, because we want to make sure we can create and assess the risk appropriately. So I say all that to say an average day could be, I look at a lot of films. So independent films are mostly what I get, TV films. I call them streamers because they're on streaming platforms. And I am truly looking at the application to see, okay, are you making sure you're getting proper licensing for your film? Meaning, when you hear music, if I'm using any clips, like if I'm using any stock footage, you have to pay for that to license it. I know, on social media, it seems so like, oh, I could just use this and use this. Even when you're on using the music on Instagram, the reason why they give you that limit is because that is as much as they even have to give you the license before it becomes copyright infringement. So nothing you're ever doing is really for free. Like there is, you do have to pay to use other people's content. So you want to make sure that you're safeguarded against that. Make sure that you're getting proper licensing from people appearing in the film. If it's a documentary and you're using real names and real likenesses, you want to make sure you have warranties from them, or at least have an attorney that can guide you through that process of you have a comprehensive release form, or you did get all the necessary rights. Or sometimes if it's a biopic, or if it's a high risk documentary, like something political per se, where tomorrow's election day. So I may sometimes want an attorney to review your film and tell me what they think from a legal perspective, an intellectual property perspective. Does it infringe on anyone's rights, whether that's third party using stock footage or personal rights?
I was going to ask you about that because, I know that in a lot of cases you do have these unauthorized, bio pictures that come out,
Mm-hmm.
and the person who it's about, they'll say, "Well, I don't like how it was depicted in the film," but it doesn't seem like they're, like they could do a lot about it. I mean, how does that, or maybe they can do something about it? I mean, where does that fall in the range of
Um,
media liability?
Yeah, no, that is still a claim. Like
Mm,
even though whether someone has an actual case and will make money from it is one thing, but if your coverage is extending to defense, which most policy, just most insurance does anyway,
right.
you have a duty to defend that claim. So even if it's baseless, even if it's they're not. I'll get to the other part of your question, but even if it's baseless, the insurance policy may still kick in to pay the defense cost, and
Because the
that can
liability
be
is paying
costly.
defense, right? Because the liability is paying the defense cost. Got it.
Exactly. Like of course, in the defense, you want to try to settle that. Like that doesn't really change in media liability. You want to try to get to a ground where both parties can agree to settle as amicably as they can with that amount. But yeah, it still costs money to do that. And to your point about an unauthorized biopic, those can be some of the more difficult accounts to write because
Mm,
there you might have composite characters in there. You might have like this could be about me and maybe you're portraying me in a good light, but maybe there's someone who seems to be you, Rod, and you're being portrayed in a negative
right.
light. And then you could then sue. It's not just about who's the star of the film, right? If people know me and I say, "Oh, my dad, stole money from me," if you know me, you know who my dad would be. It's like
So it could be implied. It could be something that's
oh,
even implied.
absolutely. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Any implied can still be a claim. Like again, our insurance policies can't stop anyone from suing.
Yeah.
We just defend and do our best to satisfy that claim once it's brought forth,
Oh,
right?
that's very
So
cool. Yeah.
yeah, so biopics can be really, really hard because you don't necessarily need life rights to make them, right? But the caveat is what you're depicting in your film needs to still have some sort of like factual background to it or something that is publicly known about an artist, right?
Right.
So you like allegations against Diddy have been forthcoming for the last year and I'm sure they're going to continue. So it wouldn't necessarily be see, I don't want to speak from it from like a claims perspective, but just like 50,000 foot view is
Let's say
that
somebody want to do
if I'm making
unauthorized film. Let's say somebody want to do an authorized film on this situation. They're gonna have difficulty in getting a policy for that. It sounds like.
yeah, because well,
Right.
unless no, I mean they
Yeah.
absolutely are. It's because that's too high risk, and another thing that makes it tough is that nothing has been settled. You
Mm,
can't say he's been convicted of these things or he has done these things in your film if he hasn't been convicted of anything. He's been charged.
yeah.
So you see where that like it's truly a fine line there. You can report or make a documentary reporting on what's already been reported and kind of giving it to the audience in a clear and concise way.
Got it.
But you can't say and then so he's guilty of all these charges. He's not guilty of all these charges. That's a false statement.
Right. Right.
And now we're we're getting into violation of personal rights even if
Absolutely.
what someone has done or what is someone is accused of is deplorable.
So basically, stick with fiction. If you want to make a movie, just do.
Oh, I mean, and now I mean, I would say no, because I don't want to tell anyone not to tell a story or tell your
Right.
story. I think you should make what you're called to make.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it's just setting your expectation on how that can affect your broader audience, how that can
Mhm.
affect people who might not be your audience, but who can watch your film, right?
Yeah.
because you can't, unless you're doing private screenings where you're personally inviting everyone. But if you're putting your workout on the internet, anyone can consume that. Anyone can see that, even the people you thought you'd never talk to ever again. And if you portray them in a negative light in your autobiographical film, and they didn't do the horrible things you said they're doing, and it's affecting them, from a financial standpoint, if I would go look up defamation, I believe there's 4 points to what a defamation claim would need to consist of to go to court. But that's, again, they can still bring forth a claim.
I
So
tell
you
you,
don't want to leave yourself open.
it's fascinating because it makes me think about now. It's like I'm thinking of like every movie that I'm looking at, like I'm thinking about movies that, where you see it says based on a true story, and then it says some characters or parts might be fictionalized or da 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 da, for this and this and this. It makes me look at it in a completely new way. Or even movies like, if I think back, take a movie like The Five Heartbeats, right, which is based on the Dells, but it doesn't mention the Dells. It doesn't say it's about the Dells. It doesn't say that at all. It's just a movie about the singing group. And then outside of that, they say, yeah, we base it on the Dells. And maybe there's a reason, now as I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, there are reasons why you would do it that way versus just doing a Dells movie. You would do it.
Right, because then you would want, everything would need to be, I mean, it still doesn't have, it could still be based on, but yeah, you just have more difficulty. So again, it's not that higher risk accounts like biopics or political documentaries can't be underwritten, but you might have some exclusions on there, higher retentions on there, higher premium. So it's just about really setting your expectation and understanding that while we live in a world where everybody can just like say what they want whenever they want and put it on the internet, and most times without consequence, when you're putting out a production, a work that can truly be insurable and a work where claims can arise, you really need to be careful. Even on the internet, you can't just like spew anything you want, because because you can still get sued. There are plenty of media outlets that have gotten, like Tasha K and Cardi B. Tasha K, she reports on, media and different artists and what's happening in pop culture, but she made defamatory statements against Cardi B that, ends up costing her millions and millions of dollars.
Hey, listen, we're 15 minutes in. This is already one of the most interesting interviews.
It's very, like, it's so much fun. I didn't realize I would find this lane in insurance. I didn't know I really had this type of lane in insurance. So I'm definitely a nerd about it. I'm definitely, I'm always learning something new. And to your point, I'm a lot of, not just myself, but even the people I work with, we talk about how, like, when we watch certain documentaries or watch certain things, it's like, who insured this? Or I would add a separate retention here, or maybe there's an exclusion. Like, I've definitely watched documentaries and have been like, oh, I hope they excluded this person completely.
Yo, it really is a fascinating field. And to your point on those streaming services, the Spotify's, and when you're using the music, I know, even based on the 2-cent checks that I get from Harry Fox every 4 months, that there's definitely a fee.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Albeit, for the streaming, we're only getting about that much, but we're getting something.
And that's really another thing. And that's like kind of where the strikes and stuff started happening. But it's stuff like that too. Like people talk about, like, oh, the writer's strike that happened last year, but that affected us.
Yeah, for sure. I would imagine.
You know what I'm saying? Like, big budget movies were halted, not being created because of these strikes. I mean, of course, there was still business coming in. There's a lot of, thank God, like independent filmmakers, independent content creators. We're able to insure production companies and film libraries. So our range within media is still vast, but we felt that,
Sure.
So it's the things that you sometimes like hear in the news that's where I try to keep my ear as to the streets as possible. For cyber underwriters, you're thinking, or reading articles about security and cybersecurity, and that's always evolving. But yeah, our intel to what's going on in our industry can sometimes also be determined by what's happening in the entertainment
In the
industry
world. So you
as
see
its
that, you
own.
know that there's a correlation there.
Yeah.
I tell you, I can tell that you spend a lot of time talking about this, and that you
I mean,
like
I like talking about
you immerse yourself in
I
it.
want to talk about it more honestly. I really want to find a way. Maybe that this will be where it's like manifested. But I really do want to find a way to leverage my networks like this. Like I think this is like this is perfect. But I also want to leverage the organizations I'm a part of and the people that I know to like educate people more on media liability insurance, and not just like from me directly. I work with some amazing professionals that have been doing this so much longer than me, that have like truly taught me the ropes, that I just want to get more people talking about media liability insurance, because we talk about media anyway.
About media
So
anyway, but it should
yeah,
be
like just think of it from like the
method that
back
guy.
end on what is actually insurable,
Right.
or what you would actually want to insure, and what's really like a higher risk that you might want to back away from or decline.
No, it's I love it. I love it. Let's take a little detour real quick
Okay.
though. All right. So I want you to because I can hear the passion in your voice for this. Um I know you had a background in media even before getting into the
Hmm.
insurance space. I want to go back to
Oof.
Diandra, you know,
Okay.
9, 10 years old.
Okay.
What were you dreaming about being at that time?
Okay. I'm gonna be honest with you. My dream when I was younger was just like being a famous entertainer somehow,
Okay.
some way. Like I just
Me
always
too.
had
It's
it on my
okay. Me
heart.
too.
Yeah, because I'm like being famous. Like I'm saying that now at 31, and I'm like, girl, that sounds so vain, but
It
I'm kind
doesn't.
of vain. So
It doesn't.
I'm leaning into that. I mean, we're gonna get into the
Look,
swag. That's what you
a
said. But I'm like,
superstar is a
yeah, I'm
superstar. A
vain. So
superstar
I'm
is a
like,
superstar.
yeah.
It
Like
is what it
I don't know
is.
what you want me to say.
You can't hide
So
from it. Go ahead.
I could just shine my light.
Right.
No, but I just at that time I was taking dance, so I would took dance classes when I was younger, and then also I was doing, I believe, musical theater at that time, like in local plays in my hometown, playing for New Jersey. Um, I'm trying to think what else I was into at like 9 and 10. That was probably it. I also am a bit of a nerd. So at 9 and 10, like by that time, I did skip a grade. So I just kind of always have had my hand in different
Yeah.
things going on, but I just like I loved, and I still do love connecting with people through art, connecting with people through conversation, and connecting with people through entertainment.
Yeah. Yeah. Take me through your journey. Like, so you were in dance, you were
Hmm.
in theater,
Hmm.
kind of you're on this path, arts,
Hmm.
entertainment, creative. I resonate with that. I went to a when I was in high school, I had a specialized curriculum around theater, you
Oh,
know,
nice.
at that time. So I kind of know the trajectory, where that's going. How do you take me through the journey, and then how do you kind of shift into your profession, specifically the niche that you work inside of? And take your
Ooh,
time with that story, by the
wow. I'm already long winded. You're like, well, take your time.
way.
Okay, hold on. We don't got that much time. So yeah, 9 and 10, musical theater, dancing. I think I got more into like, okay, I want to act. So I tried to lean more into the musical theater side. But then I realized, well, not I didn't realize, I can't sing. Like I could like carry a little tune, but
Yeah.
I knew I wouldn't ever be cast as the lead role. Now my younger sister, she's 2 years younger than me. She can sing. She would be the lead role, or she would be like
Mm,
a prominent role in the play, and I would be more like the ensemble. But to your point, I think when you just have a certain presence about you and you can command a stage, command a room, like I still stood out. But then it evolved into rapping. So
I was gonna say, I
so
know you
I
spent some
used to
time with the MC, right?
rap.
Yeah.
So yes, I used to MC. I used to rap. How that came about, I was in 8th grade. LimeWire was the cat's meow.
I'm like, oh,
This was
wow.
way clearly before streaming, and I had people in class that would rap. And I was just like a very much a hustler. Like I was always trying to sell something. Like I used to sell I used to sell cookies, soda, candy during lunch.
Okay.
Um I know it's funny. I'm a media liability underwriter now because I used to like burn CDs and sell them. Uh, that is illegal. I mean,
It's
can you
illegal,
even
right,
do
right,
that
right.
now? Who's selling
What's a CD
CDs?
now? I don't know.
Who is selling CDs? So what I ended up doing, what they asked me to do was, hey, can you get me a bunch of these instrumentals, like these popular instrumentals? And I downloaded them from LimeWire, put them on a CD,
Man, I
and
don't even know if
gave it to
people don't
my
even know what LimeWire is nowadays, but go ahead.
LimeWire was also illegal. So there's a through
LimeWire
line
was
here.
illegal, but I remember it. I remember.
A life of crime. No. LimeWire was a play before you could stream music. They came on compact discs, aka CDs. But and as a way to not pay for the music, go to the record store, the CD store, and pay for the music, people would take it, upload it to LimeWire servers.
Mm-hmm.
And once you got the application on your desktop, you looked it up and you could kind of just see all the different uploads. So you did have to be careful. Some people would try to get you, you could get viruses that way. Some of the audio quality was not good. So, you still had to be careful like with anything else. But yeah, so I had these guys in my class who said, can you download these beats? I did. And then I also remember having like not like the studio mic, but just kind of like a mic that plugs into your computer. Right? Like think of it almost like the webcam mics that we use on Zoom, like
Right.
a meeting. Um, and I don't know, like this is kind of how my creativity has always evolved. Is just like, okay, so I have these beats, I have this microphone, and my dad introduced me to a software program called Audacity, which I think still exists. It's like a
Audacity is still
free.
around. Yep.
Yeah. So what I first started using Audacity for was I used to listen to a lot of explicit music. I still do. But even as like eighth grade. So what I would do is I would go in and like take the curses and like reverse them. So like to make like a clean version.
You were making your own radio edits?
Basically making my own radio edits. So I put those three together. I'm like, okay, so I know Audacity. I know I can record on that program. I have
Mm-hmm.
a microphone that I've
Yep.
seen use that program to record, and I have beats. So I just started like, okay, I can rap too. And I would just talk about my little young experiences. I think my first, oh my gosh, I can't remember my first one. No, it was to like Young Jeezy's Go Crazy beat.
Mm.
And I think it was like I'm staying positive and I'm not gonna go crazy. Like you might see me, I did it in the same style as him, so it's like you might see me on a something. I can't remember, but it was like positive rap.
Okay.
You know
Okay.
what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you
Yeah.
might see me selling candy, you might see me selling this, but I'm not selling drugs. You know what I'm saying? And I'll shout out my family. Let me shout out my crew.
No
Let me
doubt.
talk about how I'm fly.
Right. Right.
Even though
Right.
my flyness was budding at that time, we
Yeah.
weren't. It was, we were still in our caterpillar
I
phase.
got you.
Um, but yeah, and then I met some classmates in ninth grade that said like, oh yeah, I rap, and it sounded like they already kind of had their own thing going, and then all right, so we're all just rapping, and I did
Okay.
that throughout high school for the most part. I had my little MySpace page. People were adding my songs to their page. I think one song that was popular was called My Style.
What
And
was
I
it? What was
think
it?
one
What
of
CD?
the draws to that song was the way I rap the song. Because I don't really say style, I say style. And
Style.
imagine my voice being a lot more high pitched. So it was like, my style is so
Oh,
outstanding.
okay.
My
All right. All right.
style
Okay.
is
Okay.
so demanding. And so the whole song was just about like how my style was just like
Hmm.
I'm that girl.
Yeah.
And so performing at different talent shows, things like that. And then I just kind of felt like desire to rap like waning my senior year. And in that, I also started an internet radio show called Baby D's Radio. Baby D was my rap name.
Baby D.
And that is
I'll say, what's your MC name? That's what I was going to ask.
right,
What's your
Baby D. I'm
Baby
like,
D?
that was my best.
Baby D. All right.
Yeah, and I was like usually the youngest because I had skipped a grade. I was the youngest of my class.
Yeah.
So it was kind of just like, all right, Baby D. Not to be confused with Baby D from Friday.
I got
But
you.
but yeah, I started my internet radio show, Blog Talk Radio, and I set out to feature not just my music, but like my friends' music. I ended up connecting with other artists like on MySpace, just virtually send me your music and then you'll come on the show, I'll interview you. So a lot of what I have done still like somehow not somehow, like by the grace of God, still carries into what I do today, even if it's not the most prominent thing that I'm doing. So yeah, I mean, college, I really kind of took a break from doing, well, not took a break, but I didn't have like a focused lane, a focused brand per se, as far as content creation. My senior year of college, I did intern at Shade 45, Sirius XM, with Sway in the Morning.
What you
So
majoring in?
that was a really dope experience.
What was you
But I
majoring
do
in?
want to shout out the Frank DeCaro show, because my first, before Sway, I was on interning on the LGBTQ station first. So that was my foot
Okay.
in the door. Then when I realized you can even intern with Sway, I was like, well, how do I do that? And
Boom.
yeah, was brought in and I did that
Were you mass comm? Were you like a mass comm major? Like, what?
no, so my degree is business management. My minor is communications. So the way I was able
Okay.
to do it was, like the work study. So, I don't know if they still do that, just different media outlets still do that, but, that you would intern and then you would get college credit, which would count towards a class for your semester. So I just did that I think I might have did that, just interned in general for maybe like 3 semesters while I was in college, and all of them were media focused and media related. But yeah, working with Sway, I mean, I might still be able to find like videos on YouTube when I was on there, because I had a few moments where I popped out.
Was it Baby D popping out?
No, not Baby D popping out. It was Diandra, and by that time, I was just so, being vulnerable. I was just like in a very insecure space in my life. So when you see me, I feel like my confidence isn't where it is now, or my self-esteem isn't where it is now. I kind of feel like I come off maybe a little shy, or like, come on, girl, give them some more. But, I think it's
You were
still the
younger though.
exposure.
You were younger though, you know?
Oh no,
So,
absolutely. Yeah, no, and that's where I'm like, I give myself grace. All I'm saying is if you find me.
okay.
Just depends on what video you find me in.
Okay.
But
What year was this? So we get look.
2014. So I think if you look up
2014. Okay.
Sway in the Morning, Tashina Arnold from Martin. I mean the great Tashina Arnold.
Yes, for sure.
And you find the interview from 2014. I do make an appearance there.
Okay.
I did have like they let me do it like a couple of times, a segment called Get Your Life. So I did that. Trying to think. And then there's just like videos where I'm scattered. Like I think there was like I dance battle Zendaya. It wasn't really a battle, but like I danced with Zendaya. It was when the Nene. Yeah, so
Okay.
that was the year when the Nene came out.
Okay.
And so when they came to the studio and they played the song, I'm dancing a little bit in that. So, just look in
Very cool.
2014.
Okay. All right.
You might find
Listen.
me.
The YouTube, search begins.
Right. You'll find it. If they didn't take it down, you will find it.
Okay. No, we're gonna find it. We're gonna find it. So talk to me about, kind of the transition of your career. So coming out of that internship, obviously heavily immersed in the entertainment space. Like, how do you start to transition, into this industry? Because you've been in this industry, 10 years. You're still fairly young. How does that happen? Like, how does that take place?
I think going back to like the being young, going back to not really not really believing in myself. And then coming from a family that, though we were not poor, we were not rich. And we also didn't have like a lot of resources in that area. Or like, like, because a lot of anything is just who you know, right?
Yeah.
And building your network.
Let me ask you a question.
So,
I'm sorry, not to hop
no,
in,
it's
but
okay. Go ahead.
say your dad introduced you to Audacity, right?
Yeah. So my dad he doesn't do it anymore, but my dad like does have more of a creative background. Like he did take ballet growing up. He did do musical theater. He was a
Okay.
DJ. So I feel like the variety and the talents um from like that entertainer perspective does come from my
Yeah, 'cause I'm
dad
like,
because he would
everybody's not
like
gonna know Audacity. Everybody's not gonna know Audacity. So I'm like,
right.
for him to say, "Hey, here's Audacity," there has to be something that's kind of
Yeah,
leading you
so
into
he
that
used
direction.
Audacity because the company that would do the local plays in our town kind of tapped on him to help direct the Color Museum.
Mm,
And so he was using it to record some audio for like one of the uh I don't want to call it a skit, but one of the vignettes in
gotcha,
the Color Museum.
gotcha.
So that's when I saw like, oh, you can record on this, But
Mm,
but he didn't like necessarily sit me down and say, hey, here's Audacity, here's how you use
I
it.
got you.
I
Okay,
think
okay,
I'm just so self-taught and I just start making connections in my brain like, oh, okay, well, I can just play with it. Because at the end of the day, like I'm a kid, right? So when it came to messing with technology, that's what we did. So,
right.
I'm just clicking around stuff. Okay, let me try this effect. What does this do? And then you kind of you go from there. And I'm like, oh, all right, I gotta do ad libs, So I don't know.
Oh,
It's
so you
just,
want you like learning how to stack vocals and everything like on your
yeah,
own,
I mean,
essentially.
yeah. I mean, I can kind of just say maybe that's my life. Learning
Okay.
how to stack vocals, like just learning how to stack all of the things that have gone on in my life and still make it harmonious, make it
Yeah.
something fruitful, something good, something worthwhile.
Love it. I love it. I didn't mean to throw
Yeah.
you off on the story too, because you were telling me kind of the transition from your internships and then kind of finding your
Oh,
way into this industry.
yeah. So I would say just because I didn't have like a lot of like, yes, might have had that resource, but it wasn't like, okay, we about to do these big auditions, you're gonna be acting in Hollywood and you're gonna be on Nickelodeon. It never really got to that level,
Got you.
So it was just like, imagine knowing like or having this vision, like, okay, I'm a star, I'm gonna be famous, and then like but still to your point, having like a presence. So it's like it's there, but there's still like a gap in bridging
Oh,
those two together.
I
And I
know.
think that's something that's still a question for me today, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, for sure.
And I know we'll get into the other things, but so I set that up to say, I kind of had this false vision of, oh, I don't really got to do too much after college. I don't know what I thought I was doing. I didn't go on any auditions. I didn't make any type of reel.
Huh.
I wasn't filming anything, but I'm like, no, but I'm just gonna be famous. I'm intern with Sway. I know the things, whatever. And then life in the form of student loans hits you real quick
Hey,
after 6 months, and
talk about
so actually at the time I was working at Chipotle Mexican Grill because I'm like, oh, this is my little job until I blow up. And then it was like, well, student loans is not
listen.
going to fund that.
Mm-mm. Hey,
Or like Chipotle is
speak the
not going to
truth.
fund your
You're
student
speaking the truth
loans.
right now.
I'm
You're
just
speaking the truth.
listen.
Right.
So my dad had also worked in insurance. He was on the IT side when he was in the industry. So a couple of my summers, I did intern at his insurance company at the time. And so there was an opening for operations on the claim side, E&O. And I'm like, all right, let's just apply.
Why not?
And that is how I got into the insurance industry. So that was March 2015. I remember getting that call saying I got the job. and how much they were starting me at, I said, "Oh yeah, this is a good one."
Right. Right.
Because the industry, depending on what you're doing and where you live, it does pay pretty well.
For sure.
So, being someone basically fresh out of college is like, "Oh, this is great." And then I had to, with most of what I've done, is had to bump my head in this industry. I didn't really start knowing there was a network, especially of like African American people that work in this industry, until I was already 5 years in.
Mm-hmm.
And so all that time I'd been making, mistakes, young mistakes, professional mistakes, because again, I'm at that time probably, maybe because I was feeling insecure and not confident, it then becomes arrogance. So
Yeah.
even if I'm not coming off like, oh, I'm that girl, I'm still in my mind, oh, I don't gotta, I'm just here for a little bit. I don't really gotta, I'm working hard. I am someone who is like very
Right.
efficient and very like, I can get the work done, but I wasn't taking anything I was really doing seriously. Right. And so that is when I really wanted to maybe get into underwriting. I did take some of the exams with the institutes. I passed 3 out of the 4 exams. And then I'm like, okay, let's try becoming a UA. And so I basically did a lateral move within that company and was a UA in the energy sector. And then it just felt like, okay, now I'm hitting glass ceilings. And again, I think it is because of some of
Mm-hmm.
the mistakes that I made and previously and then brought into that new role. But I think the my point always was I could do this role. I can do this thing, and feeling frustrated at like that couldn't happen.
Yeah.
And I don't want to I want to take responsibility for, professional mistakes, but I don't think it was just that, because there is
Right.
still a lot of politics. There is still a lot of red tape, and we are in an era now in insurance where being a UA doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be an underwriter. That's
Right.
not necessarily a career path anymore, because you have people who stay UAs and are career UAs, and that is there. Nothing is wrong with that path. It just seems like it kind of became a ceiling, at least
Mm-hmm.
for me when I was a UA.
Mm-hmm. So how do you make that shift? Like, at what point do you realize that, because it's one thing to make mistakes and not really be aware of them,
Mhm.
just kind of going through the motion. Some people are making mistakes thinking they're doing it right, or
Mhm.
not taking accountability for the things that are happening. At what point do you realize, hey, maybe there's a couple of shifts that I can make? Okay, I'm gonna move this here, kind of reassess this. Boom, light bulb goes off. Now I can make some moves. So what was that point, and kind of, was there a specific trigger for that, or was it just kind of gradual over time?
It's so funny you mentioned that. Um, so gradual and over time, because I'm just someone who I, while I'm a recovering people pleaser and I'm not as focused on what people think, when I was younger, I really did. And I never wanted to come across like I wasn't who I say I am.
Yeah,
Or,
for sure.
okay, she's a great worker sometimes, but sometimes she's not. I also think it was and I want to put this out for everybody. Sometimes the company you work for, or the role that you're doing, or the people you work with are just not a great fit. So that's where I think, even though I do take accountability, I do think there was always going to be a level of like red tape. Either I wasn't going to cut through, or it was going to take me a while to cut through. And in the role I was in, I was extremely frustrated, extremely upset, and it was affecting not just my mental health, but just my personal life. It's
Yeah.
wild how, and I guess we can get, of course, come back into what I'm doing at QBE, or maybe we should cut that. We'll come back into what I'm doing at my current company and how that's different. But retrospectively,
Yeah.
I realized that it just was not a good fit for me.
The
And
environment matters.
no, the environment before was not a
Yeah,
good
I'm
fit
just
for
saying the
me.
environment matters.
Oh, I'm sorry. The environment matters. Yes.
Yeah, the environment
Yes,
matters.
it absolutely does. And making sure you have people who understand you and support you matters.
Yeah.
So the turning point was this was around the time, well, this was 2020. This was around the time of the uprisings. I
Mhm.
remember coming back from Memorial Day holiday, and which was the day after George Floyd was killed, murdered, and just feeling like overall sadness, feeling it was a lot happening. I was living in a studio apartment during a global pandemic. Like
Yeah.
I was not
Wow.
okay. And then George Floyd had, well, no, I mean, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George
Yeah.
Floyd.
Boom.
And I was just like, okay, are they going to do anything? Are they going to say anything? Like, what is it going to give? And I felt very disappointed by how those events were addressed. It felt very brief. It felt very, it just felt brief. And it also didn't provide any like resources or hey, take the day off, or it was just, oh no, we don't stand for that and lives matter. It's like, okay, but I'm sitting here really crying.
Right.
I'm sitting here really, and myself and Breonna Taylor, we would be the same age. She's like a few months younger than me. I'm born in March. She's born in June.
Hmm.
That could have easily, I'm one of those people, maybe it's because I'm an empath, I don't know, but I can easily be like, well, that could have been me.
Yeah, for
Okay,
sure.
it couldn't have been me. So I remember there was a town hall, I think 2 days after George Floyd was murdered. And I used to go run. I'm still an active person, but I used to go running in the mornings. And I remember just kind of like telling God, or like at least settling in my spirit, or maybe the spirit was settling it in me. If they don't say anything about what is going on socially as it pertains to Black Americans at this specific time, I'm going
Yeah.
to say something. Like I purposed that. And so the meeting happened. It hit all their talking points, their agenda, and I waited until the end. Because I don't want to come fresh out the gate with, well, why y'all not doing this? Let me see what you have to say first.
Right. Right.
They did not address it. So when they did said Q&A, and actually I think I still have the message on my phone somehow, somewhere. But I remember just typing out a paragraph like, so, hey, thank you for this presentation. I'm glad we were able to grow our employees during this time. Glad we're still being able to be profitable, even though, we're all at home. Can you just let me know what support is being offered to the people who are affected by what's happening in the world with George Floyd? I mean, I'll say that's kind of like what I said in a nutshell.
Yeah.
And you would have thought the Wi-Fi cut out because everybody was frozen. They were not expecting, I don't think they were expecting anyone to have enough audacity to
Yeah.
ask a question like that
Yeah.
on a town hall. And I found out that it was an international town
Oh,
hall
wow.
later. So for the world, I believe, saw it,
Okay.
employees at that time. And yeah, they were stuck. They didn't know what to say. They were trying to like offer different things. And at that point, I think I got it like, not, I wouldn't say spicy, but very like, no, but what are you doing? Okay, but that's not helping the problem. I did get a little charged up, but I would say that was my turning point, because that then
Mm-hmm.
got the attention of people who are in NIA or associated with NIA or leaders in the DEI space to reach out to me and say, hey,
We need you.
I like you.
Right.
Let me get you connected.
Right. Right.
Because clearly you need to be somewhere where that energy can thrive.
That's right.
And
That's right.
so, yeah, so that's why I'm like that, using my voice in that way. And while some people may frown upon something like that, it did help catapult me to getting to where I am today. I don't know if I would be at the company I'm at now. I knew I would not be where I was,
Right.
but I don't know if I would have had the confidence, even just an ounce more confidence, to apply for an underwriter role where I'm at now.
Wow.
Or, at that, I ended up getting a mentor from that who's very well connected in the insurance space, not
Yeah.
just from a social perspective, but from an institutional
Yes.
perspective and a business perspective. Who was to say I would have, had her speaking into me the way she did? And she was the one that actually paid for the first 2 years I was in Nye, New York. She paid my dues.
Wow.
So yeah, like shout out to Aisha West. I could speak her
Yeah.
praises all day, just because of how selfless she is, not just to me, but to help other people in the industry, especially people who don't fit the mold, so to speak,
I love
or
that.
fit the archetype of the good old boys. So yeah, that's what really catapulted my or what started the spring of me being where I'm at today and building my confidence and building my network, because I didn't even know Naya existed, let alone be a part of it.
Yeah. Let's
And
talk
then
about that.
how would we have met?
Yeah. How we exactly. So so basically it sound because one of the questions that I wanted to ask, considering, you've mentioned several times, how, obviously you had talent and an inclination, for the arts and for performance. Um, and that's a special archetype of a person.
Mhm.
But you also were fairly shy and reserved as well, uh, depending on the spaces, maybe, or
That,
maybe.
I would say it's more that, like, I don't know if it's like, yeah, if I don't feel like I can really like just be and really take up space, or I used to really struggle again with what other people thought of me. So
Yeah,
sometimes I'm just like living in my head. Then yeah, I would shrink myself.
yeah,
I was a light dimmer. I would shrink myself, and in turn I would then be upset or jealous or envious of other people who were letting their light shine and being praised for it. Whereas
mm,
like I would
wow,
it felt like when I was letting my light shine, it was too much. Or you're doing the most.
yeah,
Or, and for some people, they still might say that, but I just don't really care as much.
yeah. Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is like, sometimes it's easier to let that light shine in the spaces where it's natural for the light to shine, like when there is a spotlight. So
Correct.
if you're dancing or performing, and someone says, "Hey, look, be on stage," hey, easy to do that, right? But
Right.
in an
Right.
environment like this industry, where sometimes it can be staunchy, and the it can be kind of gray and fluorescent, as
Yeah.
personalities and such, and you're someone that does kind of express a different kind of way. It can be too much, for them, and
Yeah,
then in
really.
turn, it can be too much for you because you're trying to suppress what's really innately in you, and you're trying to shift your personality and how you present really into a box that can't contain it. So
Correct.
it sounds like in that moment, um, you kind of just, just kind of like said, bump it, and just kind of like
Yeah.
let it go.
I was thinking the same thing.
Right. I was thinking of a different word, but since
No, me too,
I'm
but we
listening,
were on the same
right?
page. This is a professional show.
That's right.
Yeah, no,
And you're
I
like, hey,
think,
boom, we just gonna let it out. So if you were a caterpillar, right, throughout this
yeah.
time frame, that was your cocooning,
Yeah.
and boom, you emerged from the cocoon at that.
Correct.
And when you emerge from the cocoon, it allowed you to not only start to fly, but also to get into those spaces or get into the air where you could really breathe and really be free. That's what it feels like, as I hear you describe it.
Yeah,
You know,
actually, I mean, no, that's exactly it, honestly. And that's why I say the environment is so important.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know everything about caterpillars and butterflies, but I believe you can't just have a cocoon anywhere. I don't think,
Right. That's
caterpillars
right.
can
Yeah.
exist in any environment
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
thrive in any environment. No animal can necessarily thrive in every single environment. Now, I'm
Correct.
a spiritual shorty. I ain't gonna get into sermon preaching, but
Yeah.
my God, I can thrive in any environment.
No
Okay,
diggity.
but but I do want to know. It's so funny because like election day is tomorrow, and I remember 4 years ago, I was like at my wits end with where I was, and I believe this was like election week. Might have been the same week that I got the call, like that preliminary call for the role that I have now.
Wow.
Like,
Nice.
so yeah, so I'm just like, oh wait, this
Coming
feels,
up on an anniversary here.
yeah,
Right.
right. An anniversary of me starting to soar.
That's right. That's right. But listen, I mean, now by the time this interview comes out, the election will have happened, and we'll be living in
Right,
the new world we're living in
right.
at that time. But man, we're gonna see. Knock on wood. You know,
Listen, I'm gonna thrive in any
we're gonna
environment, so
thrive
y'all
in
can
any
mark my
environment. We're
words
gonna
on
thrive in
that.
any environment, 100%. So as that confidence starts to emerge, I mean, is this where we start to see, the I guess the shift from, you know, Baby D to Diandra Nims to Diandra Marie? Is this where we start to see that shift? Because when do you start? Is that where you say, okay, now I'm really comfortable to kind of come out, even with the style that you have? Because some people have a more conventional business style. Your business style stands out. Is that where that starts to kind of take shape? Is this where you start to say, hey, now I'm going to merge my creativity and my profession on this side of the house? Is it, how does this happen?
I would say that part of the butterfly or that part of the confidence is, I would say it really was, it's still personal, but it was more professional as well. So as far as style, I feel like I've always had my own sense of style. Even if I look back and I'm like, oh girl, what was that? I feel like there were always points where people would be like, oh, okay. Yeah, like you could dress.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was born out of me getting picked on for not being able to dress. So this is the product of bullying. I have to laugh. But so yeah, I've had that through line. I am still actually working on both merging the creative and the business side as well as my confidence. I think while it has evolved and has grown, it's something that I'm still working on and probably will be working on, for the rest of my life. But I would, again, going back to the team of people that I'm with, I think working with them has helped build my confidence in so many different ways that I don't even think they know, not even just professionally as an underwriter, but also as a creative director, a business owner, because a lot of underwriting is relationships and
Right.
and understanding how much you should charge for your product, for your service,
Yeah.
and telling and being able to tell people your value. Right? Some of
Yeah.
what I do as an underwriter is, hey, these are our enhancements to our policy. This is what makes us competitive. This is why I'm charging what I'm charging for this policy and this premium. And so I kind of took those same tools and applied them to me as a business owner. But no, when I first started, I mean, I think anything is a process, anything is evolution, nothing is overnight, even though I can say, like, wow, 5 years ago, my life looked completely different than it does now. And I thank God for it. And I don't think 5 years is a short amount of time, but it still took me 5 years to get to where I am today. Right.
Absolutely.
So through just learning how to trust managers, learning how to trust my team and that they have my best interests at heart. Right. So it's
Mm.
relational. It's not just what can I get from them? It was, oh, okay, my managers and my team are getting something from me. They see value in me and they tell me. and they want to highlight it and they want to showcase it and they want to tell other people. And so I remember there was a pivotal conversation I had with my manager a couple years ago. And I think I was just feeling really my inner dialogue. She was giving me feedback on a quote that I had done because I, didn't have authority at the time. And I think I was internalizing it to me like she doesn't think I can do this. Like I know I'm the young, I haven't been underwriting the same as everyone else. And this, like, she's exposing me. And we get on the phone, and it was more of like a sentimental conversation where we were able to be transparent. And she said, and it was something that touched me. She was just like, "No, I think you're a great underwriter." And I don't think I didn't even say, "Do you think I'm a good underwriter?" I think just my language I was using, she was just like, "Diandra, you can do this. Like, I think you're a great underwriter. I just want to give you feedback for things to think about so that when you get authority, you're not just letting anything slide. But no, you're approaching this well. You're doing the things you like. The way you've caught on to underwriting is amazing." So it was that conversation with her where I started letting my guard down in a way that I feel like has allowed me to become more confident, because now I don't feel like I have to prove anything.
Yeah.
Right? Like she's saying, "No, I know you got this. You're great. Let's fine tune this. Let's clean this up, or let me give you this perspective." So that when you're doing it on your own, you're not looking at a risk like this and just letting anything slide, or at least ask a question, become more thorough. Right? And I think these are like lessons that you learn over time. And I think in doing that and implementing change, even the change that doesn't have to be directly told to you. I have another very technical manager, and he's the type of person, hey, if you send him stuff, he doesn't necessarily want to have to look through every single document or ask a bunch of questions. Set it up for him so that he could just say approved or not approved.
Right.
But that he didn't blatantly tell me that. That was something like he did say, "Hey, I think you can just explain things more to me." But then I'm like, "No, you know what?" And I say this with love. He's a nerd. So when we're talking about technical stuff, even though he's also very like relatable and I feel like he's easy to talk to, when it comes to the facts, that's what he wants.
Right.
So give him that. Right? Just give him the facts. Run it down for him, so that you're making it easier on yourself. So absolutely. I think it's just like, like seeing people value me has allowed me to value myself more, and then been able to like value things about other people that, other people might consider quirks, but it's like, oh no, this is how this person works. But that doesn't mean we are so different we can't communicate. It's just like, okay, what are our communication styles? And so I have people now that know, like they know words of affirmation. Do I always need external validation? No. But they know, hey, you're doing a great job.
Right.
And they'll tell, like, like you really don't know how far stuff like that goes, and it's taken for granted, truly. But yeah, I work with a great team. And I love what I do.
I really, like you found the right environment. I mean, that's really
I was just gonna say, I really found my right environment, and I can say that in so many different facets of my life, and I'm just so grateful and thankful for it, because I know not everyone gets that privilege.
Yeah, and I'll be remiss, not to just highlight just Naya for a minute, because it sounds like that was a big part of you kind of getting into that space, and I agree. Naya is that kind of environment. Would encourage everyone to check it out and get involved. I want to make as we start to turn the corner here, I got a couple more questions for you. One, I want to talk about kind of your company, what you're doing, with Limitless Visions.
Yes.
Tell me about that, because you're actually starting to mentor filmmakers as well and do different workshops and things. Tell me about that, about your company, your vision, and where you're building that out.
Thank you. So yes, Limitless Visions is a boutique production company where we turn our clients' visions into premium content. So that can be we're filming your workshop, that can be we're filming a panel, we're doing a recap of your event so that you're using it to hopefully promote your next events and build value and build a portfolio for your brand, your business. And that started because I started creating my own content. When I first got into content creation, I was hiring videographers because I'm like,
Mm.
I'm not going to do that. I'm the talent. I can't. And then just working with different videographers and not really having a vision for myself, really, I got to a point where I'm like, I need to just buy my own camera. Especially because at that time, this was, I think, 2016, the end of 2016. I'm saying to myself, oh, I want to do this type of segment. I want to do this type of show. I want to, like, I'm just getting all these ideas, and I knew I can't pay videographers to do this
Mm.
work. Like, it just was going to be very costly, and I didn't know any videographers personally at the time, or felt confident enough to ask them, like, hey, can we partner on this? Can we collaborate? So yeah, I bought my first camera in 2016 and was doing a variety of web shows. I did a web show called Get Your Life. I did one called You're Gonna Regret This with a friend of mine at the time, and we would just talk about different pop culture or evergreen topics.
Yeah.
I had a short stint with another friend of mine. We talked about Netflix shows. So I've just been dabbling. And then ventured into short films. So I've completed two short films, one about lupus. A friend of mine at the time is diagnosed with lupus, and so it was about her journey and the people around her who were supporting her, her family, and her friends. And I did my second short film called Psych Nah, I'm Not My Mental Illness. And so myself and three other people of color are featured talking about our experiences with mental health and how we are overcoming them, how we know there can be another day tomorrow. And then my latest film is actually from March 2020, and that was a full culmination project. It's called Old Black Woman, and it's based on a poem that I wrote about my adoration of Black women, being a Black woman, but then a Black woman who loves on Black women.
Mm.
And I took that and created an interview series. And so that is where a different Black woman is featured. I believe the videos are short. I don't think any of them are longer than like 6 minutes. But the point was to show our experiences are not a monolith. And there's so many different types of Black women featured, shades, life experiences. And then I also turned that poem into a short film.
Mm.
So though, yeah, that's that's been my latest short film project. And then currently I have a talk show about imposter syndrome, and that's where I'm back in front of the camera talking to folks about their experiences with their creative journeys, their entrepreneurial journeys, and how they combated their imposter syndrome and their inner doubts and demons. So one of my selling points is that, hey, I'm not just someone who went to film school or photography school. I don't have that experience, but I have an eye for what looks good. And I'm someone who's passionate about creating. I'm passionate about telling my story, but also passionate about being able to, when given the opportunity, advocate for others, but also hopefully have other people share their story and shine their light, because it's not just about me thinking that I'm a star and everybody else is not. It's I'm a star, and that's
Right.
just me singular, but I hope that you can think that you're a star. I hope we can
That's
all
right.
just be stars coexisting.
That's right.
So yeah, I'm passionate about connecting with people, bridging the gap with, being able to help them tell their stories and just add like a creative element to it. And yeah, I love what I do, both professionally in my 9 to 5 and in my creative work, my professional work from a business standpoint.
I love that. Like, so based on where you are at this point, in your career, in your life, what's the dream now? Like, what's the goal? What's the long-term vision for you now?
Okay, so I have a Patreon, and I
Okay.
need y'all to start following me and subscribing to
Hey,
me
we're
on
gonna talk about all the
Patreon.
contact and
Because I'm
Patreons too.
trying to, yeah, because I really want to start making money from content creation. And this is not like I'm not like, oh, I need to make money now so I can quit my job. And it's no, that's really not the goal. But the goal, the foresight is that I just want to start making money from the work that I put into creating.
Mm-hmm.
And while I do find a sense of fulfillment and creating for others and getting paid to do that, that is so dope when you can have a business and people are paying you your rate without, asking for discounts and this and that, and you're learning how to negotiate and run a business and maintain relationships with your clients. I still want to focus on being the talent. I did get for a second there, got so caught up in creating for other people that I'm like, wait, I started all of this creating for
Right.
me. And I think it just, yeah, it speaks to the growth and evolution of my confidence and believing in myself. The reason why I'm not featured or I'm not on camera interviewing the women, one, I think I like the style of it, but two, it was because I didn't feel maybe like worthy to really be on camera in that way
Hmm.
anymore. I felt
Interesting.
like maybe I needed to focus more on being behind the camera, and that was more my lane. But I would say, I mean, imposter syndrome just started 2023. So I'm really now finding my voice again and finding how I want to get a through line even more seamlessly with what I do professionally 9 to 5 and what I do creatively. But I would say like supporting me looks like, hey, booking me when you're having an event, booking me if you need headshots. And it doesn't matter how big or small. I do have, my network who we can have a team come, a media team come, but really supporting me as an artist, me as an individual is Patreon. And that is where you'll get more exclusive content when I roll out Imposter Syndrome Season 2, which is coming January 2025. Extended episodes will be on there. First looks will be on there. I am also selling a content creation workshop, so it's available for digital purchase. So while I am like shameless plug, I'm also just acknowledging the work and effort that it goes into doing these things. It
Absolutely.
isn't a small feat. And so,
For
yeah,
sure.
I'm trying to set myself up where I can really build a platform on my own so that whether I try to go the traditional like Hollywood industry route or not, I still have like my audience and my platform where I can still get paid.
Absolutely. I love what you're doing. Look, just share the contact information for yourself if someone wants to get in contact with you, if they want to support the Patreon, if they want to get access to your content, to the episodes, to the films that you've done, or hey, maybe they want to talk about what it's like to be an underwriter in the media liability space. Maybe they want to get some information on that, right? How
Oh,
does
for
someone get in
sure.
contact with Diandra Nims?
Ooh, okay. I'm like, this is loaded because I know this is going on LinkedIn. So
Right.
well, I'll start with the professional and
Yes.
then let's get to know each other and you might get to the other personal outlets. So first, if you just want to
It'll be on
contact
YouTube too,
me,
just so you know, and on IG and on TikTok
dang it. Okay, so we're gonna do our best.
and
We
YouTube.
find me on LinkedIn under Diandra Nims. Feel free to send me a DM. If you see me in person, let's exchange contact. It is harder for me to stay in touch via like DMs. It's way easier for me to just text these days, especially if you have like a direct line to me. So that's one for the media liability efforts and things. Please subscribe to my Patreon. That's patreon.com/ITS Diandra Marie, Marie. I think from there, like it's Diandra Marie is kind of, You can find me anywhere. I will say I do watch the people who follow me on there. I do try to be, mindful about that, about who follows me, because again, I am going to show up who I am, especially on my personal social media. So you may get vetted. Don't be upset with me. It's all love, as Monique says. I love us for real.
Right.
But yeah, I prefer you just, hit me up on LinkedIn. Let's have a personal conversation. Let's go get coffee, or if you're not in the state, let's do a video chat. Like, I'm all about connecting for real, not just artificially. But do subscribe to my Patreon.
There you go. Got to support the Patreon. All
right.
Pay
Black creator. Rod too. Please support Rod. Share, subscribe. Truly, I'm saying that not to solicit. It really does matter. This takes time. This takes energy. This takes effort. This takes money to create. It's not just, he turned the camera on and that's it. No. There's time that goes into this and preparing.
And money.
It's a lot of money that's stop thinking. Exactly.
That's a lot.
No, seriously. When you can support people, especially people that you know, please do it. I know you can't be perfect at it, but the people that you are resonating with and you do actually support, please support their work as well, because it does go a long way and it does mean a lot.
Get them books. See them books in the background? See them books on the shelf?
Look, he even got the whole aesthetic. Now that takes time. Now I had to put these pictures up behind me. If I showed you my setup, I've got stuff rearranged. Okay? I got ring lights and other cameras and stuff set up. So yes, it takes time, effort, and energy.
Right.
Please,
like here,
please value that.
Hey, Diandra, I so appreciate you taking this time. And look, we talked longer than I think we planned, but we could actually talk more. Like, there's more stuff.
I'm looking at my watch. I'm like, we gonna go 2 hours.
There's more stuff that we could.
This gonna be his Club Shay Shay.
Yeah. Right. This is one of those kind of conversations.
No, I should have came with dirt. Right. I should have started dropping names.
That's for the next. So the next.
And told you that I read 4,000 books in a year. How about that? I'll just embellish my life.
What?
I can run faster than Sha'Carri Richardson.
You are hilarious.
We're gonna get your views up.
Thank you for sharing your limitless vision.
Thank you.
Not only with this platform, but with this industry and really with the world. I think that somebody told me that one time, he said, listen, when you're a special person, you got to realize that you're special. It doesn't mean that you're better than anybody else. You're just different. You're just special. And just allow yourself to be special. Allow yourself to be different, because that's what you're supposed to be. That's who you're supposed to be, because that's what you're adding to the world. So I hope you know how special you are and what you're adding. I certainly appreciate it. It's easy to identify with anybody who meets you within literally 10 seconds, So thank you again, for coming on and sharing your story and sharing so much insight, knowledge, background. It's been it's been like a versatile, conversation.
Yeah, I'm a versatile person.
But for those who've listened, I hope you found some value. I know you have already. And maybe you found something that will help you to overcome imposter syndrome or spark your own creativity. Maybe get your life, Maybe
don't let me tell you to do it. Get it first. I don't have to tell you to do it.
You gotta tell you get your life. Get your life together, and find that creative that lies within you. Maybe you even heard something that made you say to yourself that, hey, you could be an underwriter, or you should get a license. Till next time, peace.